75 people watching me. So let's watch that building in Sacramento together. And I would be honored to have your support as I go up there, and we can keep an eye on those committees and on the Senate floor and on the Assembly floor to bring conservative values back to California. So I am not going to take too long. I want to tell you a little bit about who I am, what my principles are, and leave some time for questions. But it's late, and I know you guys are probably anxious to go home. But my name's Kristen Olson. I was born and raised here in Modesto, and I've been serving on the Modesto City Council for about 5 years. And as Mr. Gregory said, just won the Republican nomination for State Assembly in the And in the general election in November, I had no opponent, zero.
Wow.
And so the great news of that is that the Democrats are giving up on the 25th Assembly District this time, which is good. The bad news is I kind of wish they had put someone up so that they'd waste their money in a campaign. But anyway, the great news of that is now I get to spend the next 5 months planning and preparing so we can hit the ground running when we get to Sacramento. I'll be sworn in December, and we really hit the ground in January. And what I would say is I stand for conservative principles, limited government, free enterprise, lower taxes. We have the third highest business tax climate in the entire country. That's unacceptable, and we are not going to turn this economy around and put people back to work, our kids back to work, our grandchildren back to work, ourselves back to work, until we can lower the tax rate in this country and in this state. Our regulatory climate in California is out of control. And there are no checks and balances on many of the state agencies, and they are really trying to run California businesses out of state or shut them down altogether. And here in the Central Valley, we have a very ag-based economy, and many of our industries don't have the option of moving. They are not portable industries. And anytime one goes down, that's 1, 10, 100, 1,000 people that are unemployed and can't take care of their families. So I am absolutely committed to conservative principles of limited government, free enterprise, getting government out of the way of business. I love the fact that your passion is the pro-life issue. That's actually what first got me involved in politics as a young teenager. And I absolutely believe in the right to life. And in my opinion, if we believe in the right to life that was established by our founding fathers, as you said, then there is no argument. Because the question of abortion isn't a moral question, it's not a religious question, it's a science question. And there is no disputing the fact that an unborn child is a human being. No scientist in America, no scientist in the world would dispute that fact. So I appreciate your comments that you made in that regard this evening. And then finally, I would say I believe in personal freedom and individual liberties. And Brian, I think he's right here, I was really excited what you had to say, and that's what I appreciate about the Tea Party movement, because it's America speaking up again. It's those of us average citizens, wives, mothers, grandfathers, employees who are saying, you know what, I've had enough, and I'm going to take a stand and I'm going to get involved. And freedom is a sport of participation. I forget who said that, but it is a participatory sport. We have to take action. We are still the freest country in the world. And I would hate for us to leave here tonight without that optimism. We are still the freest country in the world. The threats are at the door, and we have to work hard together to stop those threats. But we can celebrate the fact that we do have freedoms, that we have separation of church and state, that we can gather together and speak our minds and have free speech, like the Tea Party did with Sarah Palin last week. And being an employee of CSU Stanislaus, and one of the few conservatives at CSU Stanislaus, I can say here, thank you for coming out there and saying people have a right to free speech, conservatives and liberals alike, and it is hypocritical to deny that right of free speech for anybody who wants to speak up in this country. So thank you for your activity there. Lastly, I would just say, you know, Brian is right on the mark. It's so important that we watch the bills that are going through the legislature, that we remind our elected officials that we're the ones who put them there, and they're accountable to the people who elected them. So I do encourage you to get involved, to watch the bills that are going through the legislature, to get to know your elected officials. The Tea Party movement, as you said, has connections in cities across the state of California, and the people who are in those members' districts can have the most impact on that particular member. And so it's great that you're reaching out to Lodi and Sacramento and Turlock, because together you can be a really powerful force, and together we as Americans can be a really powerful voice. And I am convinced that we will be again. I am excited about the 2010 elections, and I'm excited about the 2012 elections, and I believe that we can take this country back if we refuse to give up. A lot of people ask me, why in the world do you want to run for state assembly? And there are a few reasons. One, I'm tired of the state rate of local dollars. As a city council member, it has been crippling on our community. And local communities provide day-to-day services, police, fire, roads, parks, education. And the state has to learn to balance its budget on its own backs. Not on the backs of the taxpayers, not on the backs of local communities, but learn to live within its means. That was my number one motivator. Number two, it still begs the question, but why now? It's such a disaster, it's such a mess, it's going down. Well, as I see it, we have two choices. We can either give up and quit, or we can